We are joined now by Coach Bobby Hurley. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time.
Yeah, good to be with you guys.
And we did just get the news of Jemiah Neal, as you had mentioned in the presser earlier. So I am curious on that front a little bit. Just what does it mean for this team to start off the season, with some of those non-conference opponents, but without Jemiah?
Well, Jemiah's had a great preseason and a great summer, and we had high hopes for him. So disappointed personally for him that he's had this setback, but it's nothing that's going to again hold him out of maybe more than 2 or 3 games, hopefully, and we'll see how he progresses with that. I think it's going to impact our first game because he had the ball in his hands quite a bit, especially as a guy that was likely going to come off the bench and spell both Frankie and our other guards, and just having another ball handler on the court because Tarleton is a team that's going to challenge passing lanes, going to pick us up full court. They're going to try and create turnovers, and it would be nice to have Jemiah out there in that role. So other guys are going to have to step to the forefront.
Yeah, so that's one thing we were talking about. We saw it a lot in the open practices. He had the ball in his hands quite a bit, as you mentioned. So that's probably something we can expect this season. How much has he kind of improved from last year, not just from ball handling, but just in general as an overall player? And has he grown height-wise? He looked a little taller.
Yeah, I mean, he's always had that long, rangy kind of build. And I just think the game has slowed down a little bit for him. As a freshman, things are going at you 100 miles an hour. I think he just feels more confident. He's playing more confidently. And he's making plays out there. I think, potentially outside of Frankie, really maybe our best guy of just, getting in the paint and making a play for us on offense.
I mean, another young guy that at least on this show we've talked a lot about is Enoch. And last year you could see immediately that he had kind of like the raw physical potential to be something great. And then in the open practices, it seemed like he took like a pretty decent step. Is that something that you saw? How have you seen him kind of grow, and what should we expect from Enoch this year?
Yeah, I mean, I look at Enoch as a guy that's just got to be ready to play. And, Warren, we brought in Warren Washington, and I think he's got that experience edge at this point. But Enoch certainly is going to help us, win games just with his physicality and just got to keep focusing on finishing around the basket and having a complete understanding of what we're doing out there. But he's progressing and he's working hard, and we're going to be patient with him.
Yeah, Coach, you guys had a lot of additions this offseason, maybe most notably Frankie Collins. Just what does he bring to the court, not only from a game perspective, but from a leadership perspective as well?
Frankie's a guy that's, day in and day out, very reliable. You could count on him being in practice. I don't know if he's missed the practice or a workout since he's been here. So I think he has his teammates' respect. He leads by example, just how hard he plays, both ends of the floor. Very vocal in practice. If guys aren't handling their business, he's, holding guys accountable. So it's good at that position that you have someone that's, not afraid to communicate and take control of what's happening out there. And he's been a playmaker. I think his teammates enjoy playing with him because of his vision of the floor and just getting guys involved and playing like a true point guard.
Definitely. And then the other 2 big additions, the Cambridge brothers, you bring in a shot creator like Desmond, 16 points a game, and then a guy who can jump out of the gym like Devin. What have they been like to work with, and do you ever mess up their names and get them confused?
Yeah, it's like Des and Dev. I did it more so like early, but I've gotten better as of late with that. But it's they're very different, but they bring just a ton of energy and a lot of personality to the workout. They're very different type of players, but they seem to complement each other well. And I think that they're going to have a huge part in what we're doing this year.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, this is like we kind of mentioned. This team does look pretty different than it did last year. I mean, you lose guys in the transfer portal. You lose a guy like Kamani Lawrence to graduating. Like, how, from a leadership perspective, who do you kind of see stepping up into a leader role? I know you mentioned Frankie and kind of holding people accountable, but are you looking at him as kind of the leader of this team, or is there somebody else that is going to kind of take on that role?
Yeah, I don't think we've like anointed a guy like in a captain role or the primary leader. I think there's a number of guys that have stepped up and been vocal, and it's been kind of the older guys that have played a lot of college basketball. It's the DJ Horns, Frankie Collins. We want Marcus to keep doing that, continuing to talk, take ownership of being a leader, and then we'll go from there. But it's I think we're solid in that department. I think the guys are committed to winning and holding each other accountable.
Coach, we've talked a little bit about the additions on the court, but you brought in Mickey Mitchell, one of your former players, now a part of your staff. What does he bring to the team? And when he was playing for you, did you ever think that he would eventually be on your coaching staff?
I wasn't sure. You just don't know if guys are what direction, what path they want to take in life once they leave. But I think the ball stopped bouncing a little sooner for Mickey due to injuries, and he was interested in wanting to get involved. So we had an opening for him, and he's done a great job. He's just doing whatever needs to be done and spending a lot of time with our assistant coaching staff that have done this for years. So he's learning quite a bit right now, and I think he's good with the guys. He could really relate to them. He's pretty close to them in age, so I think he's got his eyes open, his ears open. He's just trying to really pick up as much as he can right now about his craft. But we're excited to have him because he was such he played so hard. He was a part of some of our best teams, some of my best teams at Arizona State, and kind of knows what it takes and what the standard is, for those type of teams.
Last question from me. Obviously, Sean mentioned it. Kamani Lawrence not being here. Can you just kind of break down what it's like without him at practice?
Yeah, I text Kamani just, I think it was the day we had Midnight Madness, and just knowing he wasn't there was really weird. And he's just another guy, blue-collar guy. You could always count on him. He's a really good leader. He was a loyal Sun Devil, through COVID and the transfer portal. He finished his career here. So, he's one of my all-time favorites, but he's playing pro now and taking the next step, and we're just rooting for him to have the success he hopefully will have playing professionally.
Definitely. Coach, I do want to get into a little bit more of the fun questions. I know you've been answering questions here for a while now, came straight from practice. So getting into some of the fun stuff, I saw years ago you talked about your time at St. Anthony's High School, and you had to, I guess all the players had to meet a quota of $500 raised so that you guys could go to tournaments and stuff, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm curious, if the situation were the same at ASU, which of your players do you think would be the quickest to raise the $500, and which players do you think would struggle to raise the money?
It's a good question. Let me try and get a quick feel here for the roster. Luther is a hustler. Luther Muhammad. So he's got that jersey hustle in him. I think he'd get the 500 done pretty quick. Who would be the slowest? I don't know. Maybe Duke Brennan. I don't know. Duke, he's a freshman, so I'll just go with the freshman.
Fair enough.
That's a good answer. Something that I noticed, obviously, a lot of fire on the bench with you and your brother as well. Is there something that runs in the family? And were you guys always this juiced as kids?
Well, if you love it and it's just natural, it just kind of flows through your body as you're doing it. And sometimes you don't even realize like really the extent of, that passion you have or the fire or, I think I'm doing a little better at controlling it and harnessing it and channeling it the right way. Is it always perfect? No. So I'm working on it, but I was exposed to my dad, who's coached high school for 45 years, and he was very animated when he coached, very passionate. And Coach K was kind of the same thing. So yeah, I think it's a product of, what your experiences have been. But I'm always trying to work on it and tone it down the best I can.
All right, so I have been waiting to ask you this. You may have addressed it before. I haven't seen it. I wanted to ask you in person. I've been waiting to ask you since June. Grant Hill was on a podcast with JJ Redick, and he was talking about his experience scrimmaging the USA Dream Team. and he had mentioned that you were the best player in those scrimmages for that week, and that you couldn't have Stockton on you because he wasn't that good of an on-ball defender. You were too quick for Magic, and that the only way that they could stop you, that the USA Olympic Dream Team could stop Bobby Hurley, was by putting Michael Jordan on you. So I wanted to see if that's true, if Michael Jordan was the only one able to stop you, if he was able to stop you at all, and just kind of in general what you remember about that experience scrimmaging that team.
Yeah, I remember the first day, and it was the day that we shocked the Dream Team, and it was scary just how good, because you have this fear that grows in your belly thinking about how embarrassing it potentially could be for you, and playing against that level of talent. But we found something that day, and just it all flowed great. But it went downhill fast. Like the rest of the week, man, it got worse and worse every day. And I don't know about everything. Grant might have embellished some of that, because I remember Scottie Pippen guarded me too, and I couldn't do anything with him because he's got the wingspan, and he's so athletic. He was blocking my shot, and I couldn't go by him. So I was just I couldn't do a thing versus him. But it was the ultimate experience, just getting a chance to be a part of that.
So were you actually like giving Magic the work though? Like were you too fast for him?
Look, Magic, that was like one of my heroes growing up. And the first day I had a few plays where I got by him and stuff, but just like everyone else, man, like he just was older and needed some time to get his feet under him. As the week went on, I couldn't do anything with that dude. But it's amazing what you always strive for as an athlete is trying to see, when you came close to being the best that you ever were. And I think that week for a couple of days, playing against that level of players took my game to a place that it made me never went to again, ever. Just playing with those Hall of Famers. So it was such a cool thing to think about, as a pure basketball player, to know that you might have reached the best that you've ever played because of the caliber of your opponent. And it was an exciting week for sure.
That's awesome.
I've been waiting for that.
There you go.
Months.
Been waiting since June. Bobby, thank you so much for the time, and good luck on Monday.
Appreciate you guys. Enjoyed it, man. Thank you.